Okay, here's the technique that I use for outlining someone or extracting someone from a background. Here's Roger Rickle that we were talking about. Since I messed it up the first time, we'll do it again. Okay, using the quick selection tool most of the time, but what I meant when I said I duplicated the background to help that selection, this is what I did. Obviously, just duplicate the background, however you want to do it, make an extra copy of that, keep the original one back here. On the copy, do a levels or curves corrections, whatever you want. All we want to do is kind of make some contrast. So we're going to make, bring the shadows in to make the blacks darker. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. And then bring this over to make the whites whiter. So there's your normal, there's your after. That's going to give quick selection tool a harder edge to look at, which is going to make the selection easier and better. So with the quick selection tool, just going to start clicking on the white really quickly. There we go. So basically 2 clicks and 2 drags and we got it all. Again, my favorite tool ever in Photoshop is Quick Mask Mode. I like to use that to edit selections. So I've done nothing yet other than the 2 clicks with the Quick Selection tool. Now I'm going to jump into Quick Mask Mode, which is Q on your keyboard or this little icon over here at the bottom. By default, I think it's red. I have mine set up to green because that's what I used one time. The reason I'm doing this is to save myself some time later because we don't need the ceiling and this little sliver on the back. We could have cropped it, but whatever. This is just how I approach stuff. Once I'm in Quick Mask, I'm going to go B on my keyboard or B for brush. Make sure the foreground is black in this case, and we're just going to paint over those areas, effectively eliminating that from the selection. There you go. That's way faster than the other way. To get the marching ants border back, hit Q again on your keyboard or quick selection tool to get out of it. There we go without that. Important step here, I guess it's not necessary, but select inverse because we want him, we want Roger, we don't want the background. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit so we can see what's going on. At this point, well, hold that thought. So now we're going to go back to the quick selection tool, right there, so we can get to select and mask. And right here, select and mask. So we hit select and mask. There's our outline. Zoom in just a little bit more here so we can see what's going on. I'm going to use the second tool in the box, which is the Refine Edge brush. And bracket keys, you can change the size of the brush. I don't want something real big. I don't want something real small. But what this is going to do is pick up the little flyaways around his hair. So I'm just going to click and drag, keeping the little hash mark in the brush, kind of like on the edge there. And that's going to pick up any little stray hairs that are outside of what the mask already got. If you got a woman with really frizzy hair, you might need a bigger brush or you might have to go further out. I think that's pretty good for Roger. His hair is pretty good. I don't have to do anything else with the hair, but you can see that it did pick up. If we did this as the selection, some of this little black area is in here will be transparent. So we kind of want to protect that. And what that is, that's his gray hair. So 2 ways to do it. You can either do it in here with this tool, which is the brush tool. It works just like the brush tool to paint some white back in to protect it. Same as always, if you right click on your mouse, you get the sizing options. I like to keep it real soft in this case because that'll kind of help feather that white out to the edge. Roger has really thick hair, so not like me who has no hair, so it's okay if we get real close to the edge, but don't go way out there because we want all this little texture out here. I'll stop there and show you the other way to do it. Once you get done there, you can go OK to get out. And oh my gosh, what happened? We don't have anything. Well, you have an extra layer up here now. And if you go to select, load selection, and that layer is called background copy 2. Keep that in mind, load selection. It's going to say, which layer, which channel do you want? Well, we want that one. Say OK. And there's your marching ants border. Another way to do it is the way I like to do it because I like keyboard shortcuts, and that's if you hold your Command key, which is your Apple key, to the left and right of your keyboard, and if you simply click right on the layer itself, it'll load that too. So same thing. I'm going to zoom back out to verify and make sure that the selection is the correct way. It is. It's not inversed. It's Roger. That's what we want. So at this point, we're done with basically that layer, the outline, and we're done with, so we're going to throw it away. And we're done with this other layer, which we added all the contrast to, so we can throw that one away also. So now we're back to our original layer that has the good exposure, whatever, whatever. But we still need to fine tune that selection a little bit. So me, again, with my favorite tool, Quick Mask Mode, Q on your keyboard, or that right there. Now we have green or red or whatever your mask color is. Like I said, by default, I think it's red. I like it green. Pick a color that's really contrasty to what you're working on. To do that, just go to the Quick Mask icon right there, and if you double click on it, those options come up, and right here's where you can make the color choice whatever you want it to be. Keep the opacity at 50 so you can still see through it, and you can see what you're doing. So we did some brush technique stuff over here, but we got to finish it. I see it a little bit right here, and then if you hit your Q key, you can toggle between the two real quick. That's why keyboard shortcuts are so nice. And you can even, if you hit Command H, you can hide the marching ants so you can see that there is really a hole right there. There is really a hole right there in his hair. We're splitting hairs, haha, funny joke. But this is the stuff you need to kind of look at to make a really, really, really good selection. I'm going to do a little bit of work over here because I see some stuff right here which is really, really hard to tell, but I can see it because I've used Quick Mask a lot and I kind of know what it is. I'm going to kind of paint this stuff in because if I don't, it'll be somewhat transparent. So B on your keyboard for brush, or go hit your brush, your paintbrush tool. Bracket keys, you can do the size of the brush, or right click on your mouse, you get these back up. You can do sizing right there too, but again, when this, I like to do a really, really soft brush edge. And I'm just going to kind of cover that. You see how it goes really, really solid green? There's before, there's after. That way I know that's completely masked out. You can also kind of scroll around the image and look and see if something got missed, and you can fix it this way too. Roger looks like he got a really, really good selection. And again, if you hit Q on your keyboard, you can toggle off and on. You can kind of see that it's got some of the shadow of his shoe, which really isn't part of it. So if you want to get rid of it, we can simply E for eraser, pick a brush size. Now this, I'm going to use a harder edge brush since this is a really, really hard line down here. And I'm just going to erase some of that shadow. Whoops, I messed up. Command Z. So another little tip is, I do this a lot too, if you use the Shift key, hold the Shift key down, and if you click one point and go to another point, it draws a straight line, right? So there's 4. We got to go undo those now. So history, undo, 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 undo. But anyway, I will use that and I'll kind of go right along the edge of his shoe there. So click one there, drag a little bit, drag a little bit, drag a little bit, and click, drag a little bit, and click. And that's kind of how I do straight lines pretty fast, you know, because if you click and hold and drag and try and draw it, you're never going to get it just right. So splitting hairs here again. We're not even going to see his feet in this photo, but you get the idea. Zoom back out. There we go. Q again to get out of it. And there's our marching ants border of Roger on one layer. I'm going to copy him. I'm going to paste him. In this case, I'm just going to do it on this one instead of taking him into the group shot. Okay, so the thing that I learned the other day that helped with hair, that really weird halo-y thing, I'll show you here. Okay, so now we're going to make another layer. So however you want to make a new layer, layer, new layer. Doesn't matter what it is, we're just using it for visualization here. Click OK. I'm going to fill that layer with gray, and I'll show you why. So select all, edit, fill with 50% gray, and now it's obviously on top, so we got to move it behind Roger there. So I did all this work on these people on gray because it's easier to see. You wouldn't see this. Now you can see that those weird little areas, those ghost areas there. If this was on white, I'll do it real quick. Select all, edit fill, white. You're not even going to see it. If it's on black, you'll see it, but it looks really bad on black. But I don't know. I tend to do all this kind of stuff on gray just because that's how I like it. It's more of a neutral, if you will, background anyway. So, okay, so the new technique to get rid of all this little stuff here is get your pencil ready. We're going to make a new layer, and I want it on the very top. Doesn't matter what it is, but set the blend mode of the layer to multiply. Right there, say OK. Make sure that layer is at the very, very top, or at least above the outline. So it's above the outline of Roger. So this is where it's really weird. So now if you right-click on the layer, I'm over here just in the space a little bit, right-click, go down here and do Create Clipping Mask. Nothing happens, but something has happened. So now grab your eyedropper tool and pick a darker color of his hair. So here's like a really, really dark gray brown. We're going to set that as our foreground color right there. And now be with your brush tool. And I want a bigger brush. We're going to use the edge of the brush basically to paint that in. And I want it to be a soft edge brush. So again, take all your hardness out of it. And I'm going to paint at like, I don't know, what's an opacity? We'll do 30%, sure. See what that does. And then if you just start clicking and dragging, it takes that halo-y thing away and it actually paints that foreground color in. So if you get a color that's too dark and you paint at 100% opacity, it becomes very obvious. And that's another reason why I stay to the edge too. We're just using the edge of the brush because if you get in there, then you got too much stuff in there. And that's another reason, like I said, I do add an opacity, so now I'm at 50%. Just keep the brush on the edge and just let the soft edge of the brush hit those hairs. If it's too dark, pick a lighter color or decrease the opacity. But that's kind of how you get rid of that halo effect. I was blown away when I found this the other day because I thought this is what I've been looking for a long time, how to do this. So there you go. That's how I did Roger's hair. Another problem with the quick selection tool that maybe it's me because I don't know how to use it very well. You see I have this white line around Roger now. Okay, I don't know why. I'm sure there's an easy way to fix it, but I don't know. Okay, so we're going to load the selection of Roger again. This is how I fix it. So either Command click on Roger to get your marching ants border, or highlight Roger's layer, go layer, load selection, select load selection of layer 1, there it is. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to contract that selection. Select, modify, contract by 1 pixel, and it's going to shrink that selection in. See, I'll undo it, undo, redo. You can see it like right here on his neck on the vertical. You can see it going in. Okay, so now it's getting weird again. We're going to select inverse, because now I'm going to erase, making sure I'm on Roger's layer with a big brush. Doesn't matter because we're erasing everything that's on the outside of Roger. So if I erase here, nothing happens. I'm going to hide the marching ants border, Command H, just so I can see that line a little better. I'm going to stay away from his hair because we fixed it, but I'll start here at his ear and just kind of go down, and that white line disappears. Like I said, there's probably a better way to do this without having to jump through all these extra hoops, but this is the way that I know how to do it. So that's how you get rid of that little white line. Just take it away. If I wasn't worried about his hair, you could just hit the delete key and that would erase everything in 1 click. But like I said, I don't want to mess up his hair at this point since we've already fixed it. There you go. Just go around him, blah, 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 blah. We're getting there. zoom out so I can go faster. Big brush because we don't care. It's not going to get anything on the inside. I just want the outside. There we go. Come back in up here. I'm zooming in. Smaller brush and just get the ear and his jacket. There we go. So now we got a clean selection of Roger. We can dump the gray. You can merge these two layers right here if you just don't want all that extra stuff. So activate layer 1 and hold your shift key down and click on layer 3. Then go layer merge layers, or there's the keyboard shortcut, shift command E. That way you just have, oh, I didn't want to merge the background layer. I'm going to unlock the background layer so that doesn't happen. Double click on it, call it layer 0, unlock it, go to layer 1, go to layer 2. Same thing, you can shift click the layers that you want, and if you right click on your mouse, there's the option as well to merge layers. There, now we have Roger on the original white, zoom out, and then Roger completely outlined with a clean outline. There's Roger.